Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for coming. My name is Simon Wright. I am the Director of Programming here at Japan House London, which means the programming team looks after the exhibitions and the events like this that we're putting on this evening. So welcome to the making of the Carpenters Line, a talk and panel discussion. So today we are broadcasting live from Japan House in front of both a live audience here in the hall and a live virtual audience on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And the event is being recorded, and a recording will be archived on our social media platforms following the event. So tonight's panel discussion celebrates the opening of the exhibition, The Carpenters Line, Woodworking Heritage in Hida, Takayama. And we are joined by a special panel, including representatives from two of Takayama City's leading furniture manufacturers, Kawakami Shingo from Nissin Furniture Crafters, and Ozaki Tetsuya from Hida Sangyo, along with key members of the exhibition curatorial and creative team, Yamada Yū of Method and Kobayashi Hirokazu of Spread. Together we'll explore a small part of the extraordinary woodworking heritage and legacy of the Hida region presented in the exhibition and go on a journey of almost 1,300 years of master carpentry. I should say that this today's event has been made possible thanks to the kind support of Takayama City and Gifu Prefecture for our participants today from Takayama. So I should welcome our guests one by one, I think. First is Yamada Yū. He's a buyer and curator born in Tokyo after working as a buyer for Ide Shop in Minami Aoyama. Yamada-san founded Method in 2007, began working as a freelance buyer. He's currently a representative of Method and published The Method of Shop Success. Is that correct? Yes. He judges extensively on various competitions, including the Good Design Awards, and is an active lecturer in various educational institutions and local industries. His past projects have included the shop at the National Art Center in Tokyo, 2121 Design Site Shop, and the Good Design Store in Tokyo, Nohara. And of course, the Tsubame Sanjo Factory Festival, which we may talk about a little bit later on. So Spread is the creative unit created by Kobayashi Hirokazu and Yamada Haruna in 2004. And by mixing concepts of landscape design and graphic design and dismantling and rebuilding memory, they seek to spread multidisciplinary creations to the future. Their work includes the Tsubame Sanjo Factory Festival and Lifestripe, a project which seeks to find patterns in our everyday existence by using color. They, of course, created our exhibition space. If you haven't seen it, you will be able to see it later. Next, may I introduce Kawakami Shingo. I asked him, should I say how old he is? And he said, yes, that's quite Japanese to do that, so let's do it. Born in 1983, he joined Nissin Furniture Crafters in 2013 and became a member of the development department in 2014. In addition to his main business of research and development of wooden furniture, he participated in the second phase of the Nagoya Castle Honmaru Palace restoration project, where he was engaged in the production of the fittings such as sliding doors, fusuma shoji, and the like. In 2018, the Honmaru Goten, that's the residence of the daimyo, was completed, and he started researching, developing, and producing Kamiko work using his experience in the Honmaru Palace and other cultural property restoration projects in parallel with his research and development in wooden furniture. And of course, Kawakami-san will be conducting our Kamiko workshops tomorrow and on Sunday here in Japan House. And last but not least, let me introduce Ozaki Tetsuya, born in 1973, who joined Hida Sangyo in 2002. In 2018, he became a general manager of the Contract Business Development and Overseas Business Department. He has promoted a variety of properties ranging from commercial facilities, such as hotels and restaurants, to public facilities, such as city halls, libraries, medical facilities, welfare facilities for the elderly, and for education. He's particularly focused on the use of domestic timber, such as Japanese cedar, or sugi, and cypress, hinoki, and is involved in a variety of projects focusing on the environment and sustainability. We will have a presentation from the panel first, and then afterwards we will be able to hand over to the audience for questions, both here in the hall and also online. And I think I'm in charge of the slides. Thank you very much. So, first of all, what have we got here? Hida. So first, we'll start with Yamada-san.
Hi.
Thank you very much indeed. I must say that in speaking in Japanese, we will have Air Kurosawa, who will be interpreting for us throughout as well. Japan House London is very much about people, process, and place. And we have worked together before on an exhibition, Biology of Metal, about metalworking in Tsubame Sanjo. Maybe you could tell us a bit about how you became involved in Hida Takayama.
はい。はい。今、サイモンさんがおっしゃってたように、僕が今回ジャパンハウスの展覧会に関わるのは2度目となって、それが2018年、4年前に開催された、燕三条の、金属技術を紹介する展覧会、バイオロジー・オブ・メタルの際に、初めて関わりました。
Yes, as Simon kindly explained, it's my second time collaborating with Japan House London. The first time was 4 years ago, back in 2018, with Biology of Metal, which was the exhibition to introduce the metal working technique from Tsubame Sanjo.
で、展覧会が終わった後、サイモンさんが、その次、金属の次として、飛騨高山の、木工技術に、興味を持っていることを、偶然知りました。東京で多分そのことを知りました。
And I have learned after the exhibition was done that Simon was interested in introducing woodworking techniques from the Hida region when I saw him in Tokyo.
で、ちょうど僕はその時偶然なんですけれど、飛騨高山の、高山市と仕事をしていて、3年間、2018年から同時期に3年間高山市に通っていました。
And by coincidence, I was working in the region, Takayama City to be precise, from 2018 for 3 years period, actually, on a different project.
で、そういったことが偶然重なって、結局今回の、カーペンターズラインの、展覧会もかかることになったんですけれども、高山、に行くと本当にこういった、森、山の風景が、どこにいてもずっと目に入っているような状況になります。
And those series of events led me to work together again with Simon on this exhibition. But this picture represent what you would see in Hida Takayama region, mountainous forest everywhere.
で僕は東京都生まれなんですけれども、大体高山市の、広さは東京都と一緒で、そのうちの 92% が森と言われています。
And I'm from Tokyo myself, but to explain about the area mass, Takayama City is about the same area as a Tokyo metropolitan city, Tokyo City, and Tokyo, prefecture, sorry. And it's, but 92% of Takayama City is covered in forest.
なので、その後、実際に、偶然なんですけれども、今回もそのバイオロジー・オブ・メタルの時のチームと一緒に、サイモンさんとスプレッドさんと一緒に展覧会を作ることになったんですけど、一緒に、一度高山にみんなで行って、いつもこういう風景を見ながら、本当に今回の展覧会にあるものをすべて一緒に見ながら、で現地でもオンラインとかの打ち合わせでも対話しながら作り上げた展覧会です。
So the team that worked on Biology of Metal came together again, Simon, myself, and Spread, the creative unit. And we have worked on this exhibition, the Carpenters Line, together. And we took the trip to Takayama region once, the three of us, and saw the scenery like this, did the research, discussed our ideas, and carried on the process online as well.
で、バイオロジー・オブ・メタルの時に一緒に展覧会を作り上げたチームで、旅をして、リサーチの旅なんですけれども、旅をして、 なんかすごく個人的にはその時に一緒にいろんなものを見てで話し合いながらなんかその時の旅が、すごくインスピレーションを与えてくれた展覧会になっていると個人的には。
And that particular trip really inspired us. We discussed our ideas in the scenery like this, and we saw things. It really sparked and laid out the ground for the exhibition.
で、実際僕は高山で仕事で、通っていた時に、西本さんは、川上さんじゃなくて、社長さんとか、あと飛騨産業さんも、100周年の際に、ちょっとブランディングというか、そういったところのお仕事もさせていただいて、今回この場に来ていただいているのもあるんですけれども、展示品であったりとか、このようなトークのようなイベントとか、明日のワークショップとか、本当にいろいろとお世話になっています。この場でまずお礼を言いたいと思います。
And as Simon explained, we have two of the furniture studios here, representatives here, and I've worked with Nissin before this exhibition with the CEO of the studio, but also Hida as well, Hida Sangyo as well. I've worked on the branding of their 100th anniversary. So there was a relationship before, but they have been a tremendous support in providing exhibits into the exhibition, but also Kawakami-San will do the workshop over the weekend as well. So thank you very much. I would like to, I'm very grateful that you are here.
はい。スライドは
私です。
はい。
すいません。
あ、そうだ、サイモンだ。
Next slide, please. Thank you,
スライドい
Simon.
つ動くなと思って。で、なんか、これ、本当に高山の、山から、ちょっと高台のところ、すぐ近くの、町から全然離れてないところの高台から眺めた風景なんですけど、本当にこう、本当に平地が少なくて、そんなに大きいサイズの町ではないんですけれども、なんか本当にどこにいても、すぐこの緑と山っていうのが、見えるのが、そのリサーチの旅の時も含めてすごく印象に残ってます。
This is the view of Takayama City. And this is looking down the city from one of the viewpoints. You can see that there are mountains everywhere with lots of greenery and not much flat areas. And the city itself is not that big, but it's just these greenery and mountains really inspired us from the research trip onwards.
で、僕は大学で歴史を学んでいたりして、今回はそのサイモンさんと一緒にどちらかというとその展示の内容をこの場所はすごく歴史の長い土地なので一緒に話し合いながら展示の内容を決めていったんですけれども、なんかこの風景は、これからスプレッドさんが説明されると思うんですけれども、なんか展示のデザインっていうところと非常に強く紐づいていると思うので、実際ここからは小林さんに話していただければなと思っています。
And I studied history at university, so there is a lot of historical elements being explained in the exhibition because Hida Takayama region has a long-standing history, interesting history. But the design itself focused on greenery and the mountains, nature. And I think it's a good point to pass it on to Kobayashi-san, who will explain more about design itself.
I remember the trip as well when you said Kobayashi said to me. He said to me, "Green desu yo ne." When we looked at this forest, and it's a very starkly bright green. And if you haven't seen the exhibition already, you'll definitely, hopefully, feel something as we did as well. I also have to say that this exhibition as well, I mean, most of it's been put together during the pandemic time as well, and it's no mean feat. actually, that it has been put together. And I'd like to reiterate thank you to everybody in Takayama City, especially as well in Hida Sangyo and Nissin for making it happen. We've got some very special pieces here, so thank you very much indeed. So Kobayashi-san, tell us about how you designed this exhibition.
そうですね。そうですね。これ皆さんも会場はご覧になられたでしょうか。会場に入るときにこれもらえるんですけれど、これ表紙が今回のビジュアルになっています。で、私たちはこのビジュアルを作るところから会場の空間デザインまで行っています。
Yes. On design. I wonder if everyone has gone to see the exhibition already. Most of you have. Yeah, okay. This is the entrance of the exhibition, and most of you will be given a brochure as well. But you can see on the right-hand side, it is the same image, the visual of the green that we have just spoken about. It's so we have designed this on the visual as well as the exhibition layout inside.
でサイモンさんもユウさんもお話しされたみたいにリサーチの旅がやはりデザインするときに大きくて、僕らも何度もリサーチの旅をここに行きました。というのも僕らは東京をベースにしておりますので、リサーチしに飛騨に入っています。
As both Simon and Yu Yamada explained, the initial research trip really left a strong impression on me. Since then, I have gone back to the region several times as well to really solidify the idea.
So 小物であるとか、あと彫刻であるとか、いろんなものを見るんですけど、そういうものづくりを見ると同時に歴史、この場所の歴史を学んでいこうとすると山に入ることがとても多かったんです。
On those research trips, we have seen many things. We have looked at the studios with carpentry, cabinet making, small items, furnitures, and on any of the research trips, it was very important for us to, as well as going to see the studios, actually going into the mountains to see where it all come from.
で、この展示は木工技術や木工製品を紹介していますが、やはりその木がもともと生えている森っていうところととても深い関係性があります。で、僕らが感じ取ったのは、その森の木っていう生命から人間が加工して人々の生活の中に取り入れたことがずっと続いてきたのがこの飛騨の匠ということの歴史なんだろうなと思ったんです。
And this exhibition really showcased the woodworking and the process and the history of it. But what the woodworking is that it wouldn't exist without trees. What people have been doing with the trees, life, taking the life out of trees. So going into the forest and really appreciating the tree and it's so carrying on that process for centuries. And that's really what Hida no Takumi is, the master carpentry of Hida is.
それで、展覧会の会場の中でも、こういうグラフィックでも常に森を感じながら展示物を見て楽しむということを心がけてデザインします。それでこのエントランスも森のカーテン、が、最初にあって、展覧会の中でも森のカーテンが展開しています。
Therefore, what we wanted to do with the design, visual, and both exhibition layout and the graphics is that really let the visitors enjoy the forest, the image of the forest. So this is really to let everyone experience as if they're in the forest.
という文字があるんですけど、昔はその飛騨、そうですね、飛騨 ヒダという、ヒダ。ヒダという文字だったんです。それが今では、ですね、飛ぶ馬みたいな感じで、漢字が変わってるんですけど、そもそもがヒダっていうので、今回もカーテンがこうヒダになってるんで、ヒダのヒダカーテンみたいな感じにデザインをしてます。
So there's a bit of a play on words here. So Hida City, but Hida in Japanese could also mean the falls of the curtains. And originally, Hida City used that exact Chinese characters, kanji, Hida, falls. But due to the appreciation of the masterful skills of the carpenters, they have adopted the kanji, ですよね, Hida, yeah, the new writing of Hida kanji. So, but there are two falls. So in the design, we have expressed the falls as well as the Hida City.
ここもね、こうヒダみたいな。この木の形もヒダ。
The tree shape is also like there are falls in the shapes of the trees as well.
それでですね。で、展覧会見てもらった人はわかりますが、これが展覧会会場に入って一番最初に見える、景色です。
Those of you who have seen the exhibition would recognize this. This is the first exhibit that you will see once you walk into the exhibition.
ヒダのヒダカーテンがで会場が仕切られながら、最初に見えるのがですね、この手前に白いテーブルにたくさんあるのが、さまざまな種類の木の、破片というかパーツが、並んでいます。
And you will see the folded Hida curtain in the background, but in front there are 90 tree samples, 90 varieties of tree samples on the table.
でヒダの森にはすごく多様なですね、生態があるんですけれど、樹種でいうと350ぐらいの樹種があります。でその中で、その大体4分の1ぐらいの90個が今並んでいます。
And Hida Forest has a great biodiversity, at least 350 varieties of trees, but we have selected 90 varieties which are used for woodworks.
人々は昔からこのさまざまな性質の木ですね。で硬いのもあれば柔らかいのもあれば、抗菌作用のあるようなものまであって、それを、その適した材料を選びながら、人間の生活に取り入れていったっていう歴史があります。
And there are differences in characteristics of these trees, anything from textures, soft to hard, and some of them have antibacterial properties. The local people really utilized and embraced those differences and used them into products. So it was really, yes, they lived together with those trees.
この写真で言うと一番右にですね、木の朴の木のレードルがあるんですが、すごくシンプルな、形をしている道具で、木から、人の手をかけて道具になったっていうところが何ですか、ここのデザインで見せたかったところで、自然から木という生命を、取り出して、それが人の道具になっていくと。でそれがずっと続いているっていう歴史とともに、人が生きているっていうところがなんですかね。で今現在もその伝統は続きながら今現在も更新しているっていうのがこの展覧会で見ていただきたいところです。
If you look at far right, you will see the ladle and the leaf of the Japanese big leaf magnolia, and the ladle itself is very simple. But that's something that we wanted to show. It's just a simple piece of wood being carved by hand and ended up being a very simple tool that is useful for us humans. And so this idea that I've explained earlier, humans going into the forest, taking the life out of trees and that is really assisting how we live together, our everyday lives. And that is something that's been carrying on throughout histories. But we also wanted to showcase that it is an ongoing process. It's not something in the past. That is something that we are doing now.
今、会場デザインの模型を、持ってきたというか、この模型を使いながら会場の設営をしてたわけなんですけれど。はい、
Here I have the model of the exhibition layout. We were using this to lay out the exhibition space.
会場に入ってもらうと分かるんですが、これも、カーテンも、ひだのように斜めにうねってカーブを作って配置していて、森を回遊しながら、会場を回遊するのイコール森を回遊しながら、展示物を見ていくっていうデザインにしています。
If you look at it, you will see that the curtains aren't laid out straight. They are laid out slightly with curves as well to really enhance the sense of folds. And if you walk around the space, I wanted everyone to experience as if they are going through the forest, not in a straight line, but walking in the forest.
次の写真。はい。そうですね。こういうふうに、いつどの展示物を見ていても、傍らに森を感じれる。で、何ですかね、没入感のある展示を、作っているんですけど、それはやはり、この飛騨という地域を、本当は行ってみるのが一番いいんですけど、行けないっていう理由もありますし、ロンドンでやるっていう理由もあるし、で、なるだけその現地の森とか生活の感じを体感しながら、歴史や展示物を見るっていうことを心がけて作っています。
So this is the exhibition space, and what I wanted to create was the immersive experience of looking at the exhibits on one hand, but on the other hand, you are surrounded by this image of forest, as if you are walking through the forest. So when I design and create, I really want everyone to experience what is around them, nature, everyday life, to sense the sense of life.
はい。次の。
I have to say that the engineers that were putting the exhibition together in the last 2 weeks or so were so happy to have models to be able to work from, and it was commented on so many occasions that now Spread were able to make this for us and not just leave it to a render on a piece of paper or on a computer screen. これ
そうそうそう。で、これはウィンドウに展示している組子細工を、フローティング組子細工的な、インスタレーションを行っています。で、お隣にいる、方がその職人さんでありまして、そういう感じでつなげようかなと思って。
And yes, this is the window display of upstairs, Japan House, with the Kamiko lattice work. And this, we have designed this, but they were made by the woodworker sitting next to me. So I thought it would be a good transition point to pass it on.
Indeed. And it's a very good point to move on to Kawakami-san. These kumiko were found in your studio, yes, in your workshop. Not all of them are made by you, I think, but all sorts of people, I wonder. And in the exhibition, we have, this is some examples of what were found in your workshop. Maybe you could tell us, Kawakami-san, about kumiko. I think it's something that maybe we're not so familiar with.
そうですね。今回たまたま僕がこういった組子細工に関わる仕事をしていたので呼ばれたんですけども、まず皆様に一つご理解いただきたいのは、こういった組子細工をはじめとして日本に伝統工芸と呼ばれるものが多くあるんですけれども、それらは基本的には師匠から弟子へとその技術が 受け継がれていくもので、基本的に教科書とかそういったものがないものですので、人によっては伝わり方が違うことがあります。ですので今から私から言うことは諸説あるうちの一つであることをご理解していただきながら話を聞いていただきたいと思います。
Yes, thanks for the introduction. I'm here because I have worked on Kamiko and Kamiko lattice work. But one caveat before I start speaking is that any artisanal crafts in Japan is being passed on from masters to apprentices. And so the idea is that there aren't any textbook or formal standardized idea. So what I'm about to say might be very different to what you might read somewhere else about Kumiko lattice work. So please bear that in mind when you're listening to me.
まず組子の歴史から話しますと、主に、約1300年ほど前に日本は多く中国大陸から技術というのは伝わってきたと言われていまして、この組子細工もその一つで、中国大陸から伝わってきたものに仏教というものがあるんですけれども、その仏教のお寺、その建築物のお寺の中にこういった組子細工の原型となる簡単な木と木を組み合わせたそういったものが建築に使われていたというのが始まりと言われています。
So first, from the history of Kamiko, it is believed that it came to Japan around 1,300 years ago, when, with a lot of items around the same time, a lot of ideas came in from China, from the continent. Buddhism was one of them, and Kumiko, the simpler versions of the Kumiko was found in religious buildings. And so we believe that that is the origin of Kumiko in Japan.
こういった組子の技術っていうのは、後に日本の建築の中に建具と呼ばれる、障子とか襖とか欄間とか言われる日本の独特の建具と呼ばれる家具というのですか、扉とかそういったものがあるんですけれども、そちらの中に骨組みとしてこの組子というものが使われ始めました。
And Kumiko started to be utilized in the Japanese buildings, with mainly with partitions, shoji, fusuma, and also ranma lintels as well.
で、その障子や欄間などは最初の頃は簡易な縦と横の木の角材を組み合わせて作ったものになるんですけれども、昔はやはり日本の建物、そういったものはほとんど木でできてまして、で木を使うということは必ず端材が出てくるんですよね。その端材をどうにかしてもったいない、そういったものをうまく活用できないかということで、こういった組子の中のマス目の中に細かいパーツを作って埋め込んできれいに見せていくということが始まったと私は聞いています。
But these partitions were quite simple items. They just had the vertical and horizontal grids that supported the structure. And a lot of all of them were made with wood. As you know, back then, most of Japanese houses were made with wood. And when with woodwork, there are a lot of chips and waste that just needed to be discarded. And I've heard that carpenters have started to think of the ways to utilize those wastes. They thought about what they could do with those smaller woods. And that's when they decided to be creative and works on the decorations.
僕が今、もったいないという言葉を使ったんです。もしかしたら皆さん聞いたことがあるかもしれない言葉かもしれないんですけども、ちょっとこちらの話を少しさせていただきたいんですけれども、日本には今、宗教と言われるものがキリスト教とか仏教とかいろいろあるんですけれども、およそ1万年ほど前、縄文時代と言われる日本の時代に日本独自の 宗教というものがありました。それが神道と呼ばれる宗教がありました。
I've used the word mottainai, and some of you may have heard of it, but I'd like to explain a little bit of the concept as well, relating to religion. And I've mentioned Buddhism. There are many religions that are around in Japan nowadays, from Buddhism to Christianity. But I'd like to touch on the original religion in Japan, which appeared around 10,000 years ago in the Jomon era, Shintoism.
その神道というものの考え方の一つに、八百万の神という言葉が日本にはよく使われるんですけれども、日本のすべてのものには神様が宿る、そういった考え方がその神道にはありまして、それは当然山や川、木々、またその木を使って人々が作り出したもの、そういったすべてのものに神様が宿るという、そういう考え方があります。
In Shintoism, there is a saying, Yaoyorozu no Kami, which could be translated to, there are gods and deity in it, everything, all the gods and deities. And that was the belief that there is a god in mountains, there's a god in the river, there's a god in every wood, and anything that could be created from those wood as well.
すべてのものに神様が宿るという考え方は、本当にトイレにも神様がいるって日本には言われてるんですけれども、そういったやはり山や木々、そういった神様の住まう神様がいるところからありがたくいただいた木を絶対無駄に使ってはいけない。そういったものを最後まで全て使い切るという、そういう考え方が現在でも日本人の心には染みついていまして、そういった考え方、端材とかそういった余ったものを何か有効活用したい、そういったところからこの組子細工というものは始まったと私は聞いています。
And the idea of gods in everything is not limited to what's in the nature. It could be even said that some people believe that there is God in the toilet as well. So like in anything in Japan, and Japanese people have this mentality of like not to waste anything. And carpenters have this as well. They don't want to waste a piece of wood that were taken from the nature, the forest. So I think that's where Kamiko had begun, that they didn't want to waste any small piece of wood.
今後ろ私が映ってるんですけれども、
this is me that you can see in the picture.
私は皆さんとは違った職人の立場ですので、本当ならもっと専門的にこの場で細かいことを言いたいんですけれども、ちょっと時間がないのでそういった日本の今お話しした日本のもったいないというそういった文化から始まったこの組子細工だと言われているんですけれども、もう一つこういったすごく細かく組子細工というのは細かいんですけれども、もともとはもっと大きなマス目でそこに小さいパーツを埋め込んでいくんですけども、日本の職人というのはとても負けず嫌いなところとちょっと見えっ張りなところがありまして、隣の大工さんがちょっと俺はもっとこんないいものを作ったんだぞと、そういう話を聞くと必ずその隣の大工が俺はもっとすごいものが作れるんだぞと、それに対抗してもっと細かいものを作って、その人がその細かいものを作ったら俺はもっとすごいのを作れるんだぞと、どんどんそういった連鎖でこういった組子細工は小さく細かくいろんな柄ができてきました。
I'm a craftsman, so I would love to talk about the techniques and how they're made, but we don't have enough time. So I will limit myself. But you can see how intricate Kamiko is nowadays. Originally, it wasn't like this. I have heard that they were a lot bigger when it began. But Japanese craftsmen tend to be very competitive. And somewhat, they can be a bit of a show off as well. So if you find that the next carpenter is working on something a bit more intricate than yours, then you would try harder. You would try and outdo them. And I think everyone had done that process, and it ended up like this, a very intricate, small piece of work.
この組子、そういった競い合ってお互いの技術力を高めていくということは、本当に現在でも続いてまして、今ギャラリーにも組子細工何点かとショールームにも飾ってあるんですけれども、日本の中には僕よりももっともっとすごい人がいっぱいいまして、もう飾ってあるものよりもはるかに細かくて、はるかに小さくて、もっと壮大な規模の大きいものを作る方がいっぱいいらっしゃいます、日本には。
Kamiko works are displayed in the exhibition as well as upstairs as well in the shop. But if you go to Japan, you will see many more intricate, a lot more grander designs of Kamiko. I'm not saying I'm the best, but there are better craftsmen than me. But
I don't know if that's so fair, really, because I think the ones that we have on display were found in his workshop. They are not just by him, but by his teacher and by various people. And by finding these things that are not usually displayed, I think we're showing something that you would not normally see. And there are a variety of techniques which are on display. And we're very grateful for you allowing us to do that. Thank you for letting us have all those things.
続けていいですか？
Shiguchiの話ちょっと続いてもいいですか？
いいです。はい。
So, as you said, we don't have that much time, unfortunately. But one thing I do want to say is that Kumiko is made without glue, without nails, without anything except the tension.
使ってないです。
So it's just held together and very, very precisely. And I think you have to work within 1/100th of a centimeter in order to be able to, the precision in order to be able to keep it, otherwise it will fall apart. We also found these in his studio. These are Shiguchi. These are the joints for which Japanese carpentry is famed. I think I'll go through these a little bit faster than maybe we would do normally. Yes, I'll go. Whoops, I'm sorry. And you can see these. You can also have a go yourself on some of them in the exhibition, and you will see a video as well with Kawakami-san's hands, actually putting 9 different varieties of these joints together. Of course, there are many more, but we just have a taster in the exhibition. Thank you, Kawakami-san. I know if somebody's got any questions, please do ask Kawakami-san later. But if I may, maybe pass on to Ozaki-san, who has come from Takayama and is a member of Hida Sangyo, one of the big 4 furniture manufacturers in Takayama.
はい。我々はその1300年、400年前からの技術、木工技術を脈々と受け継いできまして、100年前に家具を作ることを始めました。その頃、日本ではまだ西洋の椅子を使ってない時代でした。
Yes, thank you, Simon, for the introduction. As you said, Hida Takayama region has worked on woodworks for 1400 years. But our company, Hida Sangyo, we started making furniture from about 100 years ago. And back then, Japanese houses didn't use Western style furniture.
その背景には、飛騨にはブナの木が大量に豊富にあったんですけれども、それは全く使われてない木材でした。
One of the reasons that we started making furniture is in the Hida region, there were a lot of beech trees which weren't used at all.
でヨーロッパで学んだ人間がですね、日本の方が、ブナでヨーロッパでは椅子が作られていると。それが大量に流行っているということを聞いて、まさに今でいうベンチャーとして、飛騨で椅子を作ろうと、そしてそのヨーロッパで確立された曲げ木という技術を使って椅子を作ろうという動きが1920年に始まりました。
One of the woodworkers who studied in Europe came back to our region, and he saw that there were in Europe beech tree were used a lot in carpentry, and they were making chairs from that tree. So we started a company, almost like a startup back then in 1920.
ギャラリーにも置いてます。この一番左の椅子ですね。これは本当に創業当時の1920年に使われた椅子の、を今回お持ちしています。
And you can see on far left the chair that used with the bentwood technique. That is the original chair that we have made in 1920.
当時の椅子はやはりドイツのトーネットのスタイルを模倣しているのが、正直なところなんですけど、その隣にあります黒いこれ漆を塗ってますけれども、これは100周年を記念して、初めて独自のデザインで干した椅子、7番目の椅子になります。
And the chair on the far left is you could say that it's a copy of the design by Thornet, but the one next to it in black lacquer, urushi, we call it number 7 chair because it's our 7th design. It's the original design that we have come up with.
1950年頃まではほぼ輸出でやっていたんですけれども、その後50年、70年ぐらいの、日本の高度成長に合わせて国内向けの生産に切り替えています。真ん中のポスターが日本の国内向けに販売の促進用のポスター、当時のポスターの絵面になります。
Until about 1950s, we focused on exports, but then onwards, from about 1960s, 70s especially, we have shifted our focus to the Japanese internal market due to the economic growth in Japan.
今重なっているスタッキングの椅子までが主に国産のブナを使っていますけれども、日本のブナもその後パルプ等でかなり減ってしまいまして、その後、新たに植林された杉という柔らかい木材があるんですけれども、それを今度は圧縮して、強度を持たせて新しい椅子の開発を行っています。それが一番奥の写真。
You can see the posters from the era 60s, 70s in the center, but also the 3 chairs after the posters are all made of beech trees. But beech trees it's scarce now because it was used for not only furniture making, but for pulp as well. So there aren't enough in Japan anymore in the region. Therefore, we have started to look for other materials, and one of the things that we are looking at is cryptomeria. Cryptomeria is soft, but we are using the techniques compression technique to make it harder and stronger to be used for furniture making.
ギャラリーにサンプルもあるので、ぜひご覧いただきたいと思います。
And we are displaying the sample in the gallery, so please go and have a look if you have a chance.
はい、これが今飛騨産業が得意としている、飛騨のエリア産地ですねが得意している曲げ木というそう技術のサンプルになります。
And these are samples of bentwood techniques that I have explained earlier.
一番太いもので厚さが5センチの奈良を今曲げているんですけれども。
And the thickest sample that we have brought is 5 centimeters width.
この曲げ木がパーツがあるんですけど、最終製品になると今サイモンさんが座っている椅子、こちらに。
These are the samples, but once it becomes products, the ones Simon was sitting on, that chair was made using the wood bending technique.
Thank you, Simon.
This chair, of course, is designed by Yanagi Sori.
Yes.
One of his masterpieces.
そして今、その木工技術を次の世代につなぐべき、新しい試みも行っています。また写真があった。ごめんなさい。イさん、戻ってもらって、すみません。一個前に。これが実際の曲げ木をしている状態で、一本一本職人が、曲げていくので、大量生産ができない技術になります。
And this is from our workshop. You can see how the wood bending is being done. It needs to be worked piece by piece by hand. So it's not something that could be automated.
そして今、新しい、次の世代に、この1400年の技術を、 木工技術を伝えるために、新しく学校も設立しました。
And we are attempting to pass on the techniques that were cultivated over 1,500 years onto the next generation. We have set up an artisan school.
こちらもギャラリーにある展示の椅子ですけれども、約1300年ぐらいの時に使われたであろうものを今の、次の世代の職人が、作り上げています。
And this is the display that is in the exhibition as well, this desk and chair. It's something that we believe to have been used. It's the recreation of something that we believe was used around 1,300 years ago. It was made by our students.
学者は年齢、性別、国籍問いませんので、関心がある方はぜひ高山までお越しいただければ。
And our artisanal school doesn't have any limit in who can apply. No limits on age, gender, nationalities, whatever. So if any of you are interested, please do. We welcome you in Takayama.
ただし2年間、携帯は禁止、恋愛は禁止、共同生活、朝の5時から夜の10時まで。
But there are some codes that you need to follow. For example, no mobile phones and no relationships whatsoever, and you have to live with your co-hosts, and you have to be up at 5 a.m. and stay in the studio until 10 p.m. So.
あと休みは年末と夏の1週間が2回。
And you would get some time off, but a week in the summer and a week in the New Year's, around New Year's time. That's it. 2 weeks.
ぜひお待ちしています。
We are waiting for your applications.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We do have some time for some questions, a few minutes maybe from anybody here in the audience. Do we have? Yes, we do. We have one at the back, definitely. If we can wait for a microphone to get to you, please, so that people online can also hear. Do we have a microphone? We do. If you could maybe go and pass. Could you keep your hand up, please? Thank you. And maybe pass the microphone along the line. Thank you. You can just speak into it, I think.
Sorry, does it? Oh, sorry. My name's Jay Lockwood Carpenter, and my question concerns. Well, first of all, I just want to say I really appreciate the opportunity. Arigatou gozaimasu for the experience. So my question concerns sustainability and more so upon the health of nature and the natural world. Considering woodland management and forestry practices and techniques such as coppicing that seeks to, as a means to not only preserve the life and integrity of the entity, the plant in question, but also to further extend the life of said plant. In terms of, again, the meaning of sustainability and life preservation, would you consider these sorts of techniques moving forward in terms of not only literally sustaining the life of an individual entity, but also the philosophy and meaning behind what sustainability means to you, and the sort of that preservation and continuation of life of the individual? Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Who do you want your question to?
It really is open to whoever would like to explore that idea.
質問を簡単に訳しますと、大工さんだそうです。ジョーさんとおっしゃいました。ありがとうございました。というふうにおっしゃられています。サステナビリティに関してご質問です。その木の命とか、そのもったいないということをご説明していただいたんですけれども、その実際のサステナビリティに関してはどのようにお考えですか？例えば木を、その命を取るだけではなくて、実際にどうやってその木そのものをこう崩さないようにするとか、そういうふうに保護っていう面での観点からはいかがでしょうか？
難しいですね。
僕ですか？ 職人、まあ、広葉樹に関しては、伐採した後に、棒が、って言って、またその、なんだ、切った株から、また芽が出てきますので、基本的には、定期的に伐採していって、循環する、伐採のサイクルを作れば、まあ、減っていかないのかなというところは感じているんですけれども、またあと、我々の方はその木一本をうまく使いたいという中で、まあ、太い部分は家具で使ったりとか、建築で使ったりしまして、まあ、例えば今、葉っぱとか、今回もちょっとご用意してるんですけど、まあ、今まで山で捨ててきちゃった枝とか葉っぱも家具の部品であったり、このアロマであったり、木をまるっと全部使えるようなことを、探求していきたいと。
So when it comes to broadleaf trees, even if you cut it, it would still sprout from the stump. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's not that we are taking away the tree itself. It will grow back eventually. And also, like, and even as the woodworker, we try and utilize the entire tree, not just the wood itself. So we would use the main part in the furniture, but like, you know, the leaves or like any of the smaller branches would be used for aromatherapy usage, for example. So like, and to really use the tree in a holistic sense is probably one of the answers that we could give you.
あと小さい活動ですけれども、また苗木を植林するような動きも活動もしている。
And it's still small in scale, but we do plant trees as well in the area.
Thank you. If you can pass the microphone back to either side, that's fine. I mean, sustainability of livelihood as well is extremely important. And I think part of what we try to do here is to try to show in Japan House as well that the sustainability of these techniques, of this skill, it supports people's lives, and that is what is important. So sustainability does go across a lot of themes and not just, of course, sustainability of the environment itself. We have several hands up. I know there was somebody over here, this gentleman here. If you could just wait for the microphone to come to you so that if we could pass it along. Thank you. We've only got one microphone working, it seems, as you may have witnessed earlier on. If you could put your hand up, please, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My question is quite specific to the heat treatment of the wood, and it's quite particularly, how long do you heat the wood and to what temperature before you can bend it appropriately?
Ma 嘆きに関してはおそらく、うちの会社以外の会社の事情とはちょっとわからないんですけれどもうちの会社に関して言うと温度は基本的には測ってないんですね。一度乾燥させた材料を釜に入れて蒸して温度を上げるんですけども、その使う材料の厚さとか長さとかそういった幅とかに応じて時間で基本的には時間で区別しています。あまり温度とかを測らずに時間でこの材料ならこれだけの時間、もう何回も試行錯誤して曲げてみて折れてそれと繰り返してこの材料にはこの時間だけこの圧力で蒸せば大丈夫だっていうのをおそらくどの会社も把握してそういった時間でその材料を曲げる前の材料の蒸した状態で作ってます。
So another caveat, I wouldn't know other companies and how they are working on with their wood bending, but in Nissin Moko, what we do is we don't actually measure the temperature itself. So we dry the wood first, but so we really assess it by the size of the wood, how thick they are, how big they are, and we put it put them in the cairn, and it's really about the trial and error. It's so we've experimented a lot, but like some of them do bend, but like they snap, and then you just need to reduce it slightly, or like, and so it's about adjusting. So there is no set answer on the temperature, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We actually have a question that's come through from Zoom. So maybe two more questions, one from Zoom and then maybe one from the room again. Somebody on Zoom has said, this is Ali at Reza Wood Designs. Thank you for your question. Could you tell me if Japanese oak, Mizunara, is used for furniture making in Japan these days? If not, which wood is popular for furniture with Japanese consumers?
水ならも使ってますね。
Japanese oaks are used, yes,
ただ量が少ないんです。
but not much in quantities.
なので、おそらく飛騨のメーカーは、アメリカの多くが一番主流になっている。残念ながら。
So Hida manufacturers mostly use American oaks, unfortunately.
もともとは地元の奈良を使ったんですけど、なんとか減ってきてしまう。
Originally, we were using Japanese wood like beech, as I've explained, but it's not. We don't have enough in quantities.
So this is where the technique of cryptomeria compression comes in, whereby there are plenty of cryptomeria plantations in Japan as a result of a big move after the Second World War, and so the natural forest trees which have disappeared have been replaced by badly maintained as well, probably, plantations of cryptomeria. And so that's a lot of work that Hida Sangyo is doing, is by making use of what there is there to make furniture, to make a material which is suitable for what they do. Thank you very much for your question on Zoom. Maybe a chance for one more question if I look. We have one question right in the middle. Yes, thank you, sir. If you keep your hand up so that people can see where to pass the microphone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My question is really about the future, because obviously you've talked a lot about sustainability and you've spoken about the island in Japan getting, you got the inspiration for the exhibition through the mountain region. Can you see other areas of Japan following this fantastic idea and concept?
今後のことについてお話を聞きたいんですけれども、すごくその日本の飛騨高山にインスピレーションを受けたっていうお話は山田さんと小林さんから聞きましたし、お二人がどんなことをしてるかということは分かったんですけれども、他の地域が飛騨高山からインスピレーションを受けて何かしてるとか、そういう話はありますか？
I think maybe I can come in somewhere here. The woodworking of Hida Takayama is so embedded in the Japanese cultural landscape that if you think of woodworking, you think of Hida Takayama. If you think of metalworking, you think of Tsubame-san. So what we try to do as well in Japan House is to be specific, and that we're not trying to say this is Japan. Japan does this, all of Japan does that, and we are being very specific. So woodworking in itself, you really have to go to Hida Takayama in order to be able to present something of its that is representative in a way. I think the plantations, for example, of cryptomeria is something that happens throughout Japan. I know that Yamada-san was you were talking before about the problem of everybody has hay fever in Japan from cryptomeria. And so I think it's something that is probably happening all over. Was Hida Sangyo the first place to create compression?
はい。飛騨の地域としてはそうですね。家具として始めた家具として使ったのは飛騨産業が初めてだと。
Yes, Hida Sangyo was the first company to utilize it into furniture making. Yes.
あとは日本で有力な家具産地って まあ、数個あるんですけど、北海道の旭川とか、九州の大川とか、まあ、もちろん飛騨高山ってまさにその一つで、僕は客観的な立場で飛騨高山を見ている限りで言うと、当然なんですけど、今回の展示も含めて、最も歴史がある種長くて、その長い歴史の中で脈々と受け継がれたその木工の技術っていうところが実際家具にも製造にも生きてると思いますし、でそれって他の産地では実は歴史がもっと浅かったりとかその歴史が本当に短かったりするっていう状況があると思うので、そういう意味では他産地他で家具作ってる産地とかにはかなりインスピレーションを与えてるんじゃないかなと。あとそれだけ森が豊かな場所っていうのもまあ旭川とかあるにせよ、じゃあ大川は今どうなんだって言われたら全然ないので、なんかそういう部分ではインスピレーションを与えてると思ってます。
If I may add, there are other notable furniture making regions in Japan. For example, Asafikawa in Hokkaido and Okawa in Kyushu, and obviously Hida Takayama as well. But if I were to compare three objectively, Hida Takayama has the longest history in woodworking as well. So so with that tradition and history, it is definitely inspiring other regions and like in those other areas as well, because it's surrounded by forest and natural resources as well. You couldn't say the same thing with Okawa, for example, in Kyushu. It doesn't have the same kind of like forestry surrounded by it. So the long-standing history of woodwork really translates to excellence in carpentry and furniture making.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One cheeky question. Sorry, can I have the microphone? If you could pass it along. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you for taking one more question. Thank you for your presentation and the beautiful exhibition. My question is about the kind of the craft of the hand and how what that looks like in the future. We're seeing a lot of industries which kind of the craftsman is disappearing and the machine is taking over. So when I visit factories nowadays, it's often many machines, right, working away. And we look into the past in of course in Japanese carpentry and all over the world. Maybe 500 years ago, a carpenter would take any advantage of using any technology available to improve their output, you know, whether it's more accuracy for the Kamiko, they might use a sharper saw or the, you know, better technologies of the time. And I'm wondering what your attitude is towards the technologies of this time, for example, machinery, or how you see that in the future. Is it that the hand is the furthest that you'll go in terms of technology or with respect to the history, or are you open to new ways of manufacturing? I'm just curious what the attitude is. Sorry, it's a long question. Sorry.
While that's being translated, Karen, does it? You need to speak to Abe-san, who is here, who's Abe-san is right at the back. These are Abe-san's hands. And I asked him quite a question earlier on today, and I think a conversation with him might be. So he's created in one of our windows, one of the ita, and this idea of the chigiri. He's a master of putting these little joining joints where you have a split in the wood or two planes together.
OK。どうぞ。そうですね、今の話で言うと、木工というのは、今世界的にも当然機械加工というのが主流で、今の、日本もそうですけれども、ものづくりの世界というのはどんどん効率化、効率重視のそういったものを、そういった制作方法の流れになっていまして、当然それっていうのは 機械でできることは全て機械でやってしまおうという、そういう流れが主流になっているんですけども、ただ一つ木工に関しては、どれだけ今の時代すごい機械が多く出回っているとしても、絶対に機械では加工できないことが木工にはいっぱいあるんですね、それは。それはやっぱり木の性質として、同じパーツでも、こちらのパーツとこちらのパーツでは性質が全く違う。中身のその密度とか、その曲がりやすさとか、繊維の通りとか、そういったものは全て違いますので、そういったことを考えると、全てを機械でやるってことは、おそらくこの先もできないのではないかなとは僕は考えています。ですので、手加工はもちろん重要なんですけども、そこに至るまでの過程を、やはり機械も当然素晴らしいですので、機械でできることは機械で当然行うけども、それでもやっぱり必ず最後は人の手で仕上げなければ、製品が作れないというのは今のところ木工に関しては必ずそういったところがあるので、その流れというのは今後も変わらないんじゃないかなとは僕は思っています。
When it comes to woodworking, yes, machinery is embraced as well. So you are right that some factories, you would see a lot of machineries and like an efficiency has been valued highly. But one thing that I have to say is there are certain elements that definitely needs to be worked on by hand. However good machines will get, really, because it's the characteristics of the wood. Just every wood is different when it comes to the density of the fiber and how the grain is. So you just need to use the hand in order to adjust how it could be finished. Especially, you won't be able to make the product just by machine itself. No, definitely not. So I think it's working with hand is important, but machines can be very valuable, and I think it's important to utilize that as much as you can as well. But it's really and however the time will pass, I think it will always we will always rely on hands when it comes to woodworking.
Reassuring.
組子を例に例えると、組子こんな本当に薄い材料なんですけども、これを機械でカットして作ろうとすると弾け飛んでしまう。そういったところは必ず手作業で行わないと作れない、そういうこともありますので、必ず木工の世界は機械と人の手の共存がこの先も続いていくと思っています。
I'll give you an example of Kamiko. Each piece is very thin. So if you try and work that with a machine, it would just it would just be rejected, just blow up. So you need to work with hands. So I think it will always be a collective effort between machines and human hands.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I think that is probably all we have time for. It's not the end of the season that we have. Of course, the exhibition has only just begun. It runs until the 29th of January. The gallery is open until 8:30 tonight, especially for you. So please do go and have another look if you want to. And our guests will also be around. We have Kawakami-San tomorrow and Sunday here doing workshop with Kamiko. Please do come along. If there are any spaces left on maybe Sunday, I think, please do check in. And we also have a series of gallery tours as well. This weekend, it will be with some of the people who are here from Takayama, but we will do more throughout the season with more visitors from Takayama as well coming. Thank you very much indeed. Will you please join me in thanking Yamada Yū, Kobayashi Hirakazu, Kawakami Shingo, and Ozaki Tetsuya. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Air, for your interpretation. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, everybody here.